Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spirit World Connections. My name is Donna Johnston, and this is my YouTube channel, Speaker Donna Johnston. Tonight, we're going to be talking about energy, chakras, and auras. And this is an interesting subject. We could go in a lot of different directions with it. And last night, when I was meditating on this and communicating with Shaman, a lot of different things came up. So he's very present tonight, and so he's going to be helping me through this so we can make sure touch on the key points. But I also have some writing that I did last night from Shaman that I'll be sharing with you at the end of the podcast. So, energy is a term we hear a lot. And I'm not talking about nuclear energy or that type of energy. We're talking about spiritual energy. And what does that mean? When we talk about spiritual energy, some people might call it a vibration or a vibe. Some people might call it good juju or bad juju. In other cultures, you might hear it called prana or chi. But basically, your spiritual energy is a life force that connects you to all things within the universe, all life forces, all things that exist. And when I think back on, when I first felt a connection to energy, it goes way back to when I was very, very young and feeling just this innate connection to Mother Earth. And if you think about it, when I say all things have energy, if you have energy, the person next to you has energy, people around you have energy, but objects and things also have energy, as do plants, as do the grass, as does the dirt, as do the sun and the moon. They all have vibrational energies to them. And when I was a little girl, very, very young, my parents owned a camp. And it was by far one of my favorite places to go. Why? Because when we were there, I don't remember my father being as much of a raging drunk as he was at home, but also because when he was out in nature, he was more grounded and connected. And that's really where I found my profound connection to Mother Earth was at the camp. And it was right on the water. So there was a river that ran past the camp. And so there was always access to play in the water and the mud. And I used to love to catch minnows and put them in a little pool and watch them swim around. And on the hill going up to the road, there were these wildflowers that used to grow. And I was absolutely fascinated with them. Why? Because of the energy and their beauty. And so at a very young age, I understood that Mother Earth was very nurturing for me, very healing, and I was very in tune with that energy. But when we think of other life forces, such as our personalities, our emotions carry energy. If you think of sometime when you've been to a funeral, and there's that heaviness, right? The grief that people are experiencing. That's energy. When you think of someone who's been sad and crying, if you've been around them, you might feel that vibration from the sadness and from that energy of the emotion. So our emotions do affect our energy. Everybody has a different vibrational energy. Some of that comes from where you descended from in the spirit world. And, we talked about the spirit world in the different levels. I touched on this a little bit, that on the different levels in the spirit world, there is a different vibrational energy. Lower levels, darker, lower energy. The more you go up, the higher the frequency, the higher the energy. So if you think of energy in terms of frequency, the vibration of it, it can be really strong or it can be very subtle depending on the individual or what it is that you're connecting with. And energy is in everything we touch, everything we come in contact with, human or non-human. Animals have a vibrational energy. Plants have a vibrational energy. Weather has a vibrational energy. If you think of a thunderstorm, right? And the power of a thunderstorm. Some people are very frightened by storms. I find them very healing because I find them to clear the energy. A thunderstorm will clear the energy. Think of the calmness that you feel after the thunderstorm. That's the energy settling down after the storm. The wind has an energy to it. I always suggest to my clients to use the wind to clear their energy. Because if you go out in the wind and you open your arms up and you let the wind just blow around your physical body, it actually helps clear your energy. Storms of all sorts, snowstorms have an energy. Snow itself has a very calming, very quiet energy to it. And when we're talking about our spiritual energy, think of it also, as we've discussed before, if you're having a conversation with someone and you just you walk away feeling kind of sluggish, it's because you're picking up on their vibrational energy. And when I was thinking about this last night and thinking about, how to best describe this to you, I was reminded by Shaman of something that happened when I was working on my undergrad. So I love to bake cookies. It is something that I've done throughout my adult life. It comes from my childhood, from having a friend whose mother used to bake the best cookies ever. And I used to say to my mother, when I grow up, I'm going to be like her. I want to be like her. I want to bake cookies like that. And so I began baking in my early 20s. And the joke with people is that my cookies are like crack because they're addicting. So, but when I was in undergrad, I used to sometimes bring cookies in to share with my classmates. And I had one classmate in particular who, whenever I saw him, I could just feel his sadness, and my maternal side just wanted to nurture him. He was a lot younger than I was. And so I would bring him in cookies and I would leave them on his desk as a way of kind of, sharing some of my energy with him, my love, my energy, and also, my compassion for him. And so my niece just wrote, they are addictive, soft with just the right amount of chocolate chips. Thank you for sharing that, Morgan. So anyways, back to college. So one day I decided to bring in a platter of cookies to share with all my classmates. And the teacher came in and people were asking me, like, what do you put in these cookies? How do you make them so good? Why do they taste like this? And the teacher, who was sometimes a little short-tempered, she said, don't you guys understand? It's her energy. It's her energy. It's the love that she puts in the cookies. Why don't you understand that? I mean, look at her. Look at her warmth. Look at her vibrational energy. How do you not understand that? I can remember her tossing the papers down on her desk because she was frustrated. But, there's a lot of truth to that. So the things that we do, our vibrational energy goes into it. Whether it's cooking, whether it's woodworking, whether it's building something, whether it's making something, even if you work in an assembly plant, you're touching something, your energy is going into it. When you're driving a car, the car has an energy because people made it and there are parts in it that have energy, right? So all things have energy. And I want you to remember that. It's very important. All things have energy. And, there are ways to clear your energy. I want to get into that in a different podcast. But there are ways to clear your energy and to ground it. And when I was little, going back to when I was very young, and this was, pre-kindergarten. So I was probably, I'd say 2 to 5 years of age. My parents had a driveway that was a dirt driveway and it had a rut in it. And this was prior to them paving it because they eventually paved the driveway. And as I said, I always loved thunderstorms. And I would wait for the thunderstorm to end on a warm summer day. And I would strip off all my clothes and go out and sit in the mud puddle that the rut of the driveway from the rut of the driveway, because the water would accumulate from the rainstorm. And I can remember just feeling so connected and so whole in those moments, sitting in that muddy water, naked in the driveway. It was the best thing ever. And I can just remember feeling that connection to Mother Earth, feeling the mud on my body, and how I just felt so profoundly connected and so at ease. Of course, my mother didn't like it, but she never understood my spirit, and she never understood that about me at all. But she would catch me, and then I would get scolded and get in trouble for taking my clothes off. And I was told I shouldn't be running around in public without clothes on, which I'm sure was a valid point to some extent. But again, I was very young, 2, 3, 4 years of age. But a lot of people who are spiritual connect with Mother Earth or with Mother Nature, plants and animals. So if you're one of them, I'm with you. I get it. I've mentioned before, I have about 350 zinnias right now on my back deck. Yeah. So, but I really get into it. It's where I find myself. It's where I find my grounding, and I call the gardening my therapy. Now, you may have heard of terms such as chakras, and chakras are energy points in the body, starting at the very base of the spine. You have your root chakra, you have your sacral chakra, you have your solar plexus, your heart chakra, your throat chakra, your third eye, which is up in this area between your eyes, right above your nose, and your crown chakra at the top of your head. And if you were to speak to somebody who does Reiki, Reiki focuses on those 7 chakras when they're doing energy work. It's believed that those chakras hold energy and energy blocks that can affect your physical and emotional well-being. When I was training under the Navajo medicine man, and I was taught how to do hands-on healing, we did not focus on just chakras. We focused on the entire body. And again, it's just a different way of healing. I'm not saying that one's right and one's wrong. They're just different. But I can tell you that when I was doing energy work on people, I would see energy blocks in different areas of their body. I could see an energy block in their leg. I could see an energy block somewhere in the torso. I might see it around the shoulders. It depends on the individual. But Reiki masters focus primarily on your chakras. Indigenous healing ceremonies focus on more of the overall physical body, and looking for blocks throughout the body. And energy blocks can come from a lot of different things. They can come from trauma. They can come from other people. And we haven't really talked about that a lot yet. But there can be, there are people who practice black magic. There are people who practice sorcery. There are people who believe in casting spells on people, and those things can cause energy blocks in the physical body. And energy blocks can come from other things as well, because it could be physical illness in the body, it could be emotional trauma, it could be psychological blocks. A whole lot of things can cause blocks in the body. And then when we're talking about someone's aura, we're talking about their vibrational energy around their physical body. And that aura can have different colors in it and different levels to it, different fields to it, energetic fields. When I was training under the Navajo medicine man, he shared with me a story about how he was somewhere, they were doing some sort of metaphysical event, and someone had an aura machine. You can take a picture of your aura. You sit in there and it takes a picture of your aura. And he said to the guy, this is like pseudo stuff, like this isn't legit. And the guy argued with him and said, but it is. If you go in there, I'll take a picture of your aura and I'll show you. And he said, Okay, but I'm going to have you take a picture now, and then I'm going to go back into the machine and take a picture and show you how I can shift my energy. So he went into the machine, he comes out with a picture, he comes out of the machine, he goes back in and he shifts his energy, and the next picture was entirely different. And the guy who took his photo, the photos of his aura, said, "How'd you do that?" And he said, "Because everybody's aura changes all the time. It depends on your energy, whether you're raising it up or you're bringing it down, right?" And he said that the machine broke after he after he used it the second time. It was funny. But if you go to some place like that and they have these machines, folks, please don't waste your money, don't waste your time. It's fun, it's more for entertainment. Don't take it seriously, because I can see people's auras around them, and I can tell you I don't need a machine to see them, but I can tell you that they shift and they change with someone's mood, with what someone is doing, with someone's disposition. A lot of things affect our energy. Illness affects our vibrational energy. So don't go to the machine unless you just want to have a good laugh, because it's not real. Your energy is going to be shifting and changing all the time. So just take that for what it's worth. Um, when we're talking about shifting your energy, it brought up something a friend of mine brought up to me last week, I think it was. And she's known me a long time. She's known me a really long time. And we met years ago when we were working together. And she's been following the podcast and she listens to the previews. And she said to me, "You know, when I listen to you talk during those videos that you make, it doesn't sound like you. It's not the Donna I know." And I said, "Well, what do you mean? Like, what are you hearing that's different?" And even her husband chimed in and said, "Yeah, it doesn't really sound like you." And I said, "Well, help me understand that. You know, what's different?" And she said, "When you say that thing like stay at the light and stay connected." And I said, "Oh, you don't like the tone?" Because that is not you. And I said, "Well, actually, it is me." And she goes, "But it's not." And I said, "But it is." And she said, "But that's not the you that I know." And I said, "But that's my energy. That's when I bring my energy down to that nurturing, compassionate side, it's stay in the light and stay connected." So it has a totally different tone to it than how I'm talking to you right now. But that's how easily someone can shift their energy. Think of it when you're in a room and someone's arguing, right? And things get tense and you can feel that tension. Voices go up when people are arguing. When someone is calmer, their voice comes down, but their energy comes down with it too. So, but I thought it was an interesting point that she brought up, and I had to really think about it, where's that really coming from? But I know that that's my nurturing, caring, compassionate side, and that's truly my spirit speaking. She's used to the traumatized version of me, I'm going to put you in your place, I'm going to tell you off, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think of you, and I'm very direct and very upfront, and kind of take hold kind of person. So when I go to stay in the light and stay connected, she struggles with that because she's not used to it. But I thought it was a really valid point, and it certainly ties into our discussion tonight in terms of vibrational energy and how we can so easily shift our energy without even thinking about it. So I just wanted to ask, does anybody have any questions at this point? And when I think of the emotional energy that people carry, I think back to my mom because what I remember most about my mother is either she was really angry or she was really sad. And I can remember very, very young seeing her standing at the kitchen counter crying, just crying. And I wanted to make her feel better. So I would go out and I would pick flowers. I'd pick dandelions or I would pick, some sort of flower in the yard and bring it to her. But I can also remember at one point, she said to me, "What are you picking these for? They're weeds," and they were dandelions. And I said, "But I'm bringing them to you. I want you to feel better. You're going to put it in some water," and she wouldn't do it. Um, and she got angry with me. And the more as I got older, I continued to try to do that. I'd bring her flowers to try to cheer her up or make her feel better. And eventually, she got angry with me when she would get very angry with me when I would pick flowers and bring them to her. And I never understood that because to me, the flowers had such healing power, such healing medicine. And, I couldn't understand how she could reject that and reject my offering to her because I remember thinking it would make her feel better because they made me feel better. Energy can be very powerful. It can be very powerful and it can be very overwhelming at times, depending on someone's vibrational energy. I've often heard from men say to me, "You have a strong presence, you have a strong energy." I've heard that even from the indigenous medicine men that I've trained under, men that I've dated. And sometimes they don't know how to handle that. I think that's probably why I'm still single. They don't know how to handle my energy because it can be strong. But some people's energy can be a lot more subtle, a lot more pulled in. It can be erratic. Some people's energy can be very erratic. And, our society has a lot of confusion. We have a lot of confused people in the world. And if you go out in public and you're open like I am, you're going to pick up on it. So I don't go out a lot places. I do a lot of online pickup. That's my favorite thing now, or grocery delivery. Because there's nothing like going to a grocery store on a day when it's super busy and you're picking up on all the vibrational energy coming from people and the confusion. And sometimes when you're interacting with someone and they're telling you something that is not accurate or is misleading, you might feel that confusion in your own mind. Why? Because energetically you're picking up on it. So our energy also helps us with our intuition. It's tied to our intuition. It's tied to the universe at large. It's tied to the spirit world as well. So when we're out in public or workplaces where we're around people, please be aware of how you're feeling and what you're sensing. It's a great way to start to build your own intuition and your awareness of other people and energy is to just pay attention when you're out in public. Pay attention to what you see, pay attention to what you feel, pay attention to what you're picking up on in terms of people's energy. There's a whole lot going on out there, a whole lot. And the confusion can come across to someone receiving it. So someone else's confusion can come across to you in a lot of different ways. It can create your own confusion. Some people say it kind of sounds staticky. Some others will say they get a headache. Some people will say they feel sick to their stomach. So it affects everybody differently. And I think that's an important point to make too, is that energy can cause your physical body discomfort. Our own physical bodies can, from our own energy experiences or from the vibrational energy of other people can affect our physical body. And if you're hanging around with someone and you leave and you start feeling sick, you're throwing up, you're getting headaches, or other unexplained physical illness, you really need to look at that and think about what are you picking up on when you're around those people? And when we're talking about, lower vibrational energies, when we talk about the spirit world and the lower realms of existence, that energy is heavy. It's thick, it's dense, and it has a heaviness to it. And so pay attention to that too as well when you're around people. If you start feeling a heaviness, a denseness, or a thickness around that person, it's because they're vibrating on a very low frequency and it's not a place you want to be. It is definitely not a place you want to be. Um, And when you think of your energy, there's a ways to expand your energy and there's ways to bring it down and there's ways to get it grounded and there's ways to get it connected. Um, and your energy, some people like music. They find that that helps their energy. Some people do sound baths because that helps them. Some people will do smudging, and that's a way of clearing your energy as well. So everybody has a different way of connecting with their energy, different ways of settling their energy, and different ways of clearing that energy force around you. Any questions at this point? And as I've said to you before, if you're picking up on something that doesn't feel right, don't walk away, run. Don't walk away from it, run. Because if you're sensing something's heavy, something's dense, something's very negative, go away from it as fast as you can. Any questions or comments? And the more aware you become of your own energy, the more aware you must become of the responsibility of it. So, like when I talked about insight is not about power, insight is responsibility. That's something important to remember, right? Because your energy can be used for good and for evil. And I can't emphasize that to you enough. You have to be mindful of how you're using your energy because our energy can be really destructive. It can really cause a lot of harm. Well, somebody had a comment up, but I don't see it. Okay, I lost it. Um, any questions? Somebody just posted something, but then it's gone. Oh, Nadine asked, what if it's your job and coworkers that are negative? Yeah, that's a tough one. So that's where you have to do the protection. That's where you have to protect yourself. Um, that happens, places of employment. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you're dealing with a lot of people, you're dealing with personalities, you're dealing with a lot of energy, depending on where you work too, that can also affect energy. Um, different places of employment, different people that you're working with, different populations of people that you may be working with also can influence that. Do you have a specific question, Nadine, that you're asking? Are you asking how to handle it? And she said, I felt really off lately. What is the best thing to do before work? Okay. Oh, so you're talking about grounding your energy and protecting yourself. I was going to discuss that in a different podcast, but we can touch on that briefly. Um, sea salt is great for grounding energy. I tell people this all the time. Funny story, and my kids will tell you this. I raised three boys. I had three kids within 5 years. They were all in the teenage phase at the same time. It wasn't easy. My first two were 19 months apart. And my oldest two would feed off of each other a lot when they were younger, you know? And so when I started working with the Navajo medicine man, he taught me about the sea salt. He said, put some sea salt under their bed, put some sea salt under their desk or where they sit primarily, and it'll ground their energy. And I said, are you kidding me? He said, no, I'm serious. Try it. So whenever I was going through something with the kids where they were both kind of acting up or struggling, like teenagers do, I would take sea salt and I would sprinkle some under their desk and sprinkle some under their bed and in the four corners of their room. And they would come home from school and they would go to their rooms and they would be so calm and so peaceful. And they had no clue, no clue. Eventually, when they would go to vacuum under their bed or if they were walking barefoot, then they might feel it. And then they would say, why is there sea salt underneath my bed? And I would say, well, you're calm now, right? We're not having any problems. So sea salt, Nadine, works really well. So what you can do with sea salt before you go into work is if you can go outside and sprinkle some on the ground and put your bare feet in it. Put your bare feet in it and ask the Great Spirit to ground your energy, field, and to surround you in white light. And because the sea salt will absorb any negativity, and asking for protection, asking for the white light will help ground you and keep you connected. You could also do that when you come home from work. You could come home, put some sea salt down, put your feet in it, and just ground yourself that way. You could, depending on where you work, drop a little sea salt. I know people who do this. I have clients who do this and call it dropping salt. But if you're going to put sea salt, it's all you need is a little pinch. It does not have to be Himalayan pink salt. It does not have to be a special salt that you buy. It's just sea salt. You can get the Walmart brand is fine. But you're going to take a little pinch of it and you put it in the four corners of the room that you're working in and across a little sprinkle across the threshold of the doorway where people come and go. So if you're in a room, you can do that. If it's a much larger environment, working in a warehouse or something like that, it's going to be a lot harder. But if you have a small enough space, you can put sea salt down. I encourage people to use sea salt in their bedrooms if they're having a lot of difficulty with dream time, if they're having a lot of nightmares, or if they're feeling, spirits around them that the vibrational energy doesn't feel right. Drop some sea salt in the four corners of the room and sprinkle a little sea salt around the perimeter of the bed or under the bed. So that's something you could do. Smudging can also help if you smudge yourself, and I want to talk about that in a different podcast. But smudging can also help clear your energy and help protect you throughout the day. If you can't smudge, some people will take sage and boil it in water and then use it in the shower and pour it over the head and over their body because the sage is very clearing, helps clear your energy and ground you. Does that answer your questions, Nadine? And another thought on that too is, when you think of energy, right? And we all have energy. And this is when I used to work with kids, it's something I used to love to teach kids to do because kids are just so open and so aware, right? So something that you could do is when you're at work or actually on your way to work, you can start sending the vibrational energy of love to that place of employment. Just start envisioning that place being wrapped in a beautiful pink bubble of love, light, purity. And when you're working, if you're having difficulty with a coworker or someone that you work with, just start sending them that pink energy of love. Start sending it to them. And surrounding them in that pink energy as well. So that can also sometimes help. Any other questions from anybody? Shaman wants to share with you that energy can be transformational for good or for bad. So use it wisely. That's what Shaman is chiming in right now and saying. Energy can be used for good or bad. So use it wisely and be aware. And remember, folks, if we're using it in a negative way, what we put out comes back at us. You heard the term karma. So just be aware of that as well. Any other thoughts or questions from anyone? So over the next week, when you're out places, pay attention. Pay attention to how you're feeling when you're around people. Pay attention to what you're picking up on energetically. Pay attention to what you're feeling when you're around others or when you're in certain environments. Homes can hold energy. Places of employment can certainly hold energy. Houses that are built on land can hold energy because of things that have happened on the land prior to the houses being built or a business being built. So the land or the earth can hold energy as well, and it may not always be good. You've heard of that. People talk about a place being haunted or having bad energy or bad juju. That can be true. Any other thoughts or questions from anyone? I want to share with you what Shaman said to me last night. And I shared with you before some of the spiritual writing that I've done. I shared it in one of the podcasts. And actually, it doesn't come from me. It comes primarily from Shaman. I do have a female guide who walks with me too. She has on one occasion told me something that I've written, but primarily this comes directly from Shaman. And this is what he had to say for all of you tonight. Sometimes when the road seems too long, look to the divine. The hand of my heart extends to you. Will you accept it or will you walk away again? Your brazen attempts to hide are already known. Yet I remain close to your side, fearless and devoted as once your spirit guide. I have returned to help you. It's time for a deep dive. Let me know when you are ready to explore what your soul already knows. I will be waiting. And that's my message from Shaman this evening. Any other thoughts or questions before we wrap up? Energy is it's a big subject, and we could go off in a lot of different directions with it. But I think if there's one thing I want you to take away from this tonight is to remember that all things have energy. Plants have energy, people have energy, animals have energy. Think of the healing energy of a dog or a cat or a pet. All things have energy, and they all have a vibrational force and connection to the universe. at large. If you're interested in, Morgan wrote, animals carry my favorite type of energy. I'm with you on that one, Morgan. I'm with you. The animals and plants, plants and animals. Those are my thing. Put me with the plants and put me with the animals. Oh, Patricia asked, how do you relate color to energy? That's a great question, Patricia. That's a great question. How do you relate color to energy? When we're talking about the chakras have every chakra has a different color to it. I'm not trained in that, so I don't want to speak to it. I know the sacral chakra is red. I know that one. But each one has a different color. Darker colors usually carry a heavier energy. So when I was trained to do energy work, I would use colors in doing healings with people, right? So if you want to keep them calm, you use a light blue energy and you push it through their body to help calm them, or a white light, a white energy. Darker colors carry a more negative vibration, a darker force to them. It's particularly when we're talking about energy fields, and I'm assuming, Pat, that's what you're talking about, correct? To someone's energy field. Okay, yeah. So there could be different colors to people's energies, and that depends on the individual. But if someone's energy is very close to their body, how do I explain this? Okay. So one time when I was training with the Navajo medicine man, he had us sit down with crayons and a piece of paper and draw the energy field of someone across from us. And this particular person, his energy was very, 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 very close to his body. And it was kind of had a gray color to it. And he had a lot going on in his life. Let's just put it to that. He had things going on in his personal life. And I think he had some sense of unfulfillment too, but his vibrational energy was just very close to his body. But everybody's energy can come in different colors. I mean, some people who are healers have said to me, I have a blue aura around me. Some have said yellow. Some have said, I see blue and yellow. Well, that makes sense to me. Sun and moon and stars and, all that. But everybody's energy colors change. The intensity of the colors can change as well. I think that when it comes to people's auras, like I said in the beginning, it really just depends on what's going on with that person and the energy around them. When I think back on my childhood home, I see darkness. And the house isn't anything like it was when I grew up. It's changed a lot. But to this day, when I think about looking up the hill at that house, what I see is just darkness over it and darkness within it. Why? Because of what was going on inside that home and the mindset of those who were in the home and the negative energy, right? But everybody's energy colors can be different. Those colors can shift and change from moment to moment, honestly, depending on what's going on with the individual. I hope that answered your question, Pat. Any other thoughts or questions? And just to kind of touch back on your question, Pat, light pink, the right way I was trained, light pink symbolizes love, a very gentle, very pure love, which is why I was saying to Nadine, you can send that out to somebody. You can send that pink energy, that light pink energy, like a baby pink, like a baby pink that they use in a nursery. Or a blue, a light blue, like baby blue, can be very calming, very soothing, like the water, like the ocean, blue. Light green It's more like Mother Earth color. Think of the grass, a lighter shade of green. And white obviously symbolizes the light from the other side. And that's purification, very spiritually cleansing, very spiritually connected, the white light. Gold can also be another powerful color, or yellow can be another powerful healing color as well. Gold representing the much higher realms of existence. So you see somebody and they've got that golden kind of sparkly energy around them, they're probably an old spirit. Light purple also, if you think of amethyst, the stone, lighter purple is an intense love. So if you know of someone who needs like a lot of intense love, you can send them a nice light purple energy. Any other questions or comments? I want to wrap up with this little story on energy and my energy. So I took on a little project about a year and a half ago, living down the south, seeing how animals are treated, primarily dogs, because I don't know, I haven't shared this with all my viewers, but I have dogs. They're quiet right now because they have a special treat that they get when I do the podcast to keep them quiet, because I have one who likes to talk a lot. He's a blue tick coonhound. But when I moved down here and I saw the way that animals were treated, it was very mind-blowing to me and very eye-opening and very sad, very sad. And so a lot of dogs just get abandoned. People just drive down the road and drop them off. I see it, on Facebook. I hear about it in the news all the time. It's so frequent. And shelters and rescues down here are overwhelmed. They're just overwhelmed. So I thought to myself, what can I do to help? And ever since I've had my private practice, I always like to do something to give back to the community. I used to donate once a year to a rescue. I'd go out and buy a couple $100 worth of dog food or dog treats and donate them. But down here, I just saw such a need, and my heart breaks for these animals. I just connect with pets and animals so organically. And so I decided that I would start crocheting blankets and donating them to local shelters and rescues that would have a need for them. And it had a very healing impact for me too, because when you're crocheting, it's a form of, this is not spiritual, this is actually clinical, but when you're crocheting, you're using your right and your left hand, it's a form of what we call bilateral stimulation. You're using the right and the left side of your body. What does that do? It opens up the neural pathways in your brain. So if you have post-traumatic stress disorder like I do, crocheting helps open up the neural pathways in the brain that get congested and mixed up when you have PTSD. So for me, it was very grounding because it helped ease my mind from the trauma. And I also, when I would make these blankets, they're made with my love for the animals. And I put a lot of my energy and my devotion to them into these blankets. And back in the fall, I think it was, back in maybe December, I donated 11 blankets, and maybe it was January because it was winter time. But anyways, I donated 11 blankets that I had crocheted to a woman who had a rescue. And I always include a note with the blankets, along with the business card, so they understand it's not just coming from me, it's coming from the business. And in that note, I say that the blankets were hand crocheted and infused with the energy of my love for the animals that are in the care of the shelters or the rescues, and that the blankets are intended to bring the animals comfort that feeling of being loved, that someone cares about them, because that's really what I wanted them to feel. I wanted them to feel that I care about them, because a homeless dog in a shelter, folks, is usually terrified and confused and afraid and does not understand why their owner surrendered them or dropped them off. And so the goal of my blankets was to give these animals some peace and some healing. Um, and a lot of the shelters down here are high kill shelters. They keep them for 10 days and they're euthanized. So I wanted these dogs to feel, I'm going to get emotional, to feel some comfort in what might be their final days. And I want them to know that I love them and that I care about them and that someone does, that the world is not just harsh and cruel and cold as they have been treated before. So when I did the donation back in January, and I met up with the woman, I drove an hour to drop these blankets off because she had been on the news saying that she was working, helping animals from freezing in the cold. So I thought these blankets would come in handy. And as soon as I met her in person, she says, I'm thinking I'm going to sell these for $5 a piece and get some money for dog food for the shelter, for the rescue. And I was really taken aback by that because there were 11 blankets. If she needed $55 for dog food, I would rather have given her $55 for dog food and donated the blankets to a rescue that would have used them. But anyhow, recently, I made a donation to a rescue in South Carolina. Again, I donated, I think, 9 blankets. And I again included a note that explained, what the purpose of was for the donation. I reached out to them in advance and said, "Will you use these?" Because not all rescues or shelters will use a blanket that's crocheted because they say the dog's nails can get caught in it or a cat's claws can get caught in it. But anyways, this woman said yes, she would take the blankets. So I donated, I want to say it was 9 blankets. I call them security blankets, folks. I donated 9 security blankets to this rescue. And on Saturday, I received a note in the mail. And I opened it up and I was absolutely floored by what I was reading. And the note basically said, "Thank you for the donation. I know you intended these to be used for the animals, but I decided to take these to work and give them away to people that she worked with." I was very upset about this. And I went on her Facebook page and I wrote a comment about how I was disappointed that she chose to do this. And from that came this whole onslaught of what a terrible person I am and I'm horrible for saying these things to her. And what does it matter what's done with the blankets? And who cares if they went to dialysis patients instead of the animals, et cetera, et cetera. And my response to her was, it's the intention. It was the intention. My energy went into those blankets. My energy went to the animals. If I wanted to donate the blankets to a dialysis center, I would have done that. That's not what they were intended for. But after I thought about it, I think what kind of took her by the blankets isn't so much, because she kept saying, well, they were really beautiful blankets. They're very beautiful blankets. She almost indicated they were too beautiful to be used for the animals. That's kind of the vibe that I got from her from it. It's like, these are nice blankets. Why are we using them for the animals? Well, she runs a shelter. That's why. But long story short, it's not just the beauty of the blanket that she's picking up on. It's the love and the energy of them, right? So think about that. It's the love and the energy that I put into them that she's picking up on also. But, in that particular situation, there was nothing I could do about it after the fact. But our energy is in all that we do. It is in all that we do. And when I put that much love and energy into something and I donate it with a note that says, These are for the animals because they're suffering right now. These are for the animals that are in your care. My intention is that they be used for that. But how people take some of that, that's on them. Oh, Morgan said, I know of a rescue that would appreciate your support. It's where I got her dog from. I'll share that info with you. And Pat said, cookies and blankets. Bless you. P.S. That woman was totally out of place. Thank you, Pat. I thought she was very much out of place. You would not believe some of the very negative comments that people were saying to me. No one seemed to understand my point at all. But I appreciate your kind words and your feedback. But yeah, I think people sometimes, want that energy, right? They get drawn to the energy and they want to be connected to that energy, and they don't necessarily understand it. Just like with the cookies, when I would take them into class and share them. So, any other questions or comments? And Morgan, I'll take that rescue information. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so with that being said, energy isn't all that we do. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's all around us. It's in our furniture. It's in the chair I'm sitting on. It's in this laptop that I'm using right now to talk to you. It's in the table that I'm using to keep the laptop on. It's in the flooring of your house. It's in the wood that your house was built with. It's in the wind. It's in the rain. It's in the sun. It's in the moon. It's in the stars. It's in people. It's in animals. It's in plants. Energy is all around us. And what you do with it is really what's important. If you're looking for additional information about services offered, please see my website, speakerdonnajohnston.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Speaker Donna Johnston. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Speaker Donna Johnston. And you can reach me through Gmail at speakerjohnston@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. I would like to know what you want to know about spirituality. What would you like to learn more about? As I'm open to covering whatever subjects I can and bringing you as much information as I can to share with you and with others. So please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Questions, comments, constructive criticism as to how I can make the podcast better. Shaman and I would be really open to any of that. He's really fascinated by this whole process. By the way, he's telling me that last night. He's very fascinated by this, and he loves that we can connect with you. So we want to keep this going. We want to keep it on a forward momentum. We appreciate your presence. We appreciate your energy. He just said that. We appreciate your energy and you being here and supporting us as we reach out and try to help others. So I will see you next week on Wednesday, July 1st, I believe that is, for those who are going to be around for the holiday week. But I hope everyone has a beautiful evening. Stay in the light and stay connected, and have a beautiful night, everyone.